good morning. How's everybody doing? It's fine Friday morning, 5 a.m. It's still a little dark out there, but that's okay for us. So I've got three movies for you today. And I've got the first one is Chef, which came out in 2014. Am I still recording? Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, my second movie is Doctor Strange, which came out in 2016. Then I've got The Misfits, which come out in 2021. So we are going to start with Chef here in a few minutes. But remember, you got to go over to the website, put your email address in there, georgelawfrey.com. I'll put the thing up on top. And then the blog over there right now, it's basically got all the affiliate marketing links in the pictures, and I'm trying to put them all Blu-ray if there are. I am dropping links on Twitter for the movies we're talking about, probably months or years in advance, but they'll be there if you look through the history of me on Twitter. But, I don't think you're going to go do that because I'm not getting a whole lot of response from that. Anyway, here on YouTube, I want you to like and subscribe and hit the bell button so you know when I put a new video out, which is probably at the same time every week. But we'll see. Anyway, so go ahead and do that now and I'll wait. In this waiting period, I should actually figure out some kind of little music or noise to put on here. Might be easier. Then again, I don't know if it's even going to work. So let's go back into talking about Chef. Okay, Chef come out in 2014. It's an American drama film. There's probably more to it than that, but let's see what my other notes page. Give me a break if I can get it to come up. There it is. Has to say about it. Okay, what do they call it? They called it a comedy drama adventure. Oh, I call it a little love story, a little bit of a love story too. Now we're going to give this one a 5-star rating because it was good. I did talk about food, so we like that. Even though I don't like a lot of food all the time, but we like it when people talk about food quite a bit. And the bottom one, okay. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and talk about this movie. So the chef's name is Carl Casper. He quits his job in Los Angeles restaurant and refuses to capitulate to his boss. He does the investigation, tries to figure out a new job, find new jobs, but nobody's hiring because of what he did on Twitter. He went to war with a food critic on Twitter and made a big spectacle of himself, and I guess he got a lot of new viewers, and nobody really wants to hire him in the food industry. So he's got to figure out something else to do. It's really an interesting way he made himself the enemy of the food world because he got into a fight on Twitter with a food critic. Now, I got to get back to my notes. That sucks. All right. So he goes with his ex-wife, to Miami, and to talk to her dad and go visit the restaurant over there, and because apparently in the movie they don't allow nannies or babysitters on the airplane, so he gets hired to go on the plane as the nanny or babysitter for his own son. It's kind of a funny way they went about doing that. I'm making it sound boring, but it was a damn good movie. Anyway, so he gets there and he has to go talk to the other ex-husband that came before him and about a food truck. So they hang out in Miami, go to the show, and next day or during the daylight hours, he goes over and sees about this food truck. So we find out the ex-husband, when Carl Casper, our chef that we're talking about, is having personal problems at the business that he runs because he's got his receptionist pregnant. And he says he had his tubes tied, so she's lying, but he's going to keep her around and raise the baby. Yeah, well, that wouldn't happen in real life, but, it's movies. Hollywood gets to make some really, really weird changes to real life. But, you got to kind of go with it in the movies today because they don't seem to really want to stop unless we give them all bad ratings. So anyway, he finally gets through the conversation about the kids, the changing of the carpet, and the booties over there at the other ex-husband's business, and they're in, I'm going to say Miami, what the heck. Then, I'm not sure where it's at completely, but it sounded like Miami in the movie. And then, because she's Cuban. Anyway, so, yeah, Miami, Austin, and all that fun stuff. Anyway, so he gets the food truck in the yard. They go from talking to the ex-husband to seeing a food truck. This thing is ugly, it's white, and it needs a lot of work, cleanup. It's been beat and rode, put away wet. But they end up spending. Carl Casper has to take care of the son, and they end up working on the food truck together while she goes and runs off doing errands and business meetings or something. They really didn't say too much about what she was doing. She just wasn't there with him helping with the truck. Anyway, so they work on the truck, get it ready to go, and then one of the other guys, that worked at the restaurant where he got himself, or he quit from, where he was making the problems, went ahead and flew out there and became the sous chef for basically no money. Well, I imagine he getting paid, but that's the way it starts. So they get this food truck all up and running. They go back to the hotel. The sous chef, their friend, takes the truck and gets it painted and gets some sound to it on it, so they can have some music. Then they set off on the road to drive the truck back to L.A., so they're going to stop and sell food on the way. So they start in Miami on Miami Beach, and they get kicked off, and they have a big old scene with the sheriff because he recognized him from YouTube as the guy in the video, the YouTube video that got him so famous and nobody wanting to hire him anymore. Anyway, so that was actually kind of funny. And then they go from town to town selling food, and his son is taking 1-minute videos and helping on the truck. It's kind of an interesting, adventurous type thing. So they got the three of them on the truck. They're traveling. They show them traveling once in a while. They go Miami, Baton Rouge. They go Texas, and they make a bunch of stops in between. The stops actually made the movie pretty good. They're making cubanos, and basically it's just a toasted sandwich. And then they get, in Texas, they get a barbecue from one of the big barbecue or fancy barbecue places over there that gets sold out daily, I guess, from what the movie said. Then They sell at concerts and all over the country. And they have a good old time doing it, coming back. And there is some funny stuff and going on in there, and some places where that is kind of weird, different, but it's still a good movie no matter what. Definitely want you to go watch it. Towards the end of the movie, um, the ex-wife is back helping Chef because he's happy on the food truck. And so our food critic comes back in and gets a sandwich and compliments him on it and says he's not going to write about what he's doing anymore because he sold his food blog to somebody else, so he can't write about who he's got a vested interest in to be business partners with. So he gets him around front of the truck, makes him a business offer to get a restaurant, and then they show 6 months later, and he's got the restaurant and models of the food truck. So I guess he sold the food truck. Okay, so this movie cost to make, which is not very much, 11 million cost to make, and at the box office it did 48.4 million, which is pretty good because of the story. They didn't have to do a lot of special effects. Basically had to buy a food truck and get some actors and get it cleaned up. And at the beginning of the movie, like I said, they show him cleaning the food truck up and driving. So they probably didn't use the food truck that he was cleaning up. They probably used a brand new one. But, it makes the movie good. Now, from what I understand, this is kind of loosely based on a true story. So that's what I wrote in my notes anyway. It's based on a true story. So, excuse me, I still got that sore throat thing going on. I got to get it wet so I can continue talking. Okay. I think we're back in business. You'll have to bear with me on the sore throat. It's going to heal up, but still going to take a couple weeks for it to be completely right. So the movie runs for 114 minutes, and it came out March 7th, 2014, and it's shown everywhere. So this was a movie. I forget. I've been telling you who makes them. Fairview Entertainment is the production company on this one. Yeah, they have a lot of good stuff. If you want to see who's the actors and all that stuff, it'll be on the blog, all the names and links to who they are. And Robert Downey Jr. was in this. Dustin Hoffman. Let's see, who else? John Farrell. Sophie Vergara. Okay. And there's a lot of names in Spanish here that I don't read Spanish too well, so I'm not even going to try. Anyway, so that's that one. It's definitely a go must see. I definitely want you to go over and get the DVD so you can watch it, or Blu-ray, or digital copy. The links are over at the blog. You'll have to go over to georgelawfrey.com to see that. So now let's see what we got. Oh, we got Doctor Strange. Okay, Doctor Strange is a superhero movie. DC Comics, so this is probably made by Disney as well. Let's go move this to Doctor Strange. Yeah, I got lots of movies to watch and do reviews on. Don't worry, I'm going strange. I guess I should call myself strange too. The strange movie critic, I guess, huh? I don't know if I'm being critical about him or not. Review. Okay, Doctor Strange is a fantasy science fiction action adventure movie. This sucker came out in 2016, runs for an hour and 54 minutes. And I don't know if I wrote a lot of this down, but it is I think it's a DC. It should be a DC comic movie because I used to read this one in comics too. Yeah. See. Yeah, Walt Disney Studios is the producer on this one. Cool. So Doctor Strange is an arrogant neurosurgeon that just basically um, is an arrogant. And then he takes over cases and does a couple other things, and he's dating a younger girl. Doesn't say that he's married, but he's dating a younger girl that's a nurse or another doctor. Now he gets in a car crash on his way out looking for a better patient, and you shouldn't look at documentation while you're driving because they prove this. So they end up rescuing him. He gets his hands worked on so he can no longer be a surgeon. So he ends up taking a trip to India, and the special effects on this thing are just out of this world. They're awesome. Where they're folding buildings and bending buildings, and the whole wall turns, and yeah, it's pretty good. So Doctor Strange, after he gets out of his surgery, um, starts the search to figure out how to get himself back into surgery. He ends up finding more than he's looking for, but he ends up tracking down a patient that he didn't operate on because the case was too far gone, and he actually came back from not ever being able to walk to being able to play basketball and run and do that with a procedure that Doctor Strange was trying to figure out. And he's running around with rubber bands on his finger, trying to straighten his hands up and make muscles stronger so everything will kind of work. Just not to the precision they used to. Crazy people out there, I'll tell you. Sun's just starting to come up, and they're really going crazy. Anyway, so Doctor Strange ends up figuring out that the guy went to India to see a ancient one, they called her. Her. So he ends up making his way into Kabul, or anyway, to India, finds this ancient one, gets stood in front of the door after he gets beat up and they steal his watch, goes inside. He was being yelled at to open his third eye. Okay, so now we're getting into the big science fiction, religion, third eye chakra type of stuff, which is kind of cool. It's been around for years, and the principle of Doctor Who has been around, or Doctor Strange, Doctor Who, yeah. Doctor Strange has been around for a long time. So, it was in comic books when I was a kid, so DC Comics was fun. Anyway, so the adventures of Doctor Strange. Stephen Strange. Okay, so where am I? I'm trying to figure out where I'm at here. I'm lost track. Oh, okay. Anyway, so he goes over and he gets yelled at to open his chakra, and the ancient one knocks him out of his body and sends him on a wild, thrilling ride with just his soul and his body sitting there in a chair in her studio. And she gets to run around, and then the other guy comes in and asks to make sure that he's okay, so she pulls him back into the body. And he gets asked, and then he goes on to another trip around the universe in the body through all the 7 or 8 dimensions. Like I said, it's a cool science fiction movie. I kind of like those. Anyway, so he ends up, after some heavy negotiations and sitting on the porch for days, he ends up getting her to teach him how to do all this stuff since he's got a eidetic memory. He reads the books and learns how to create portholes, and then he uses the portholes to steal more books and learn how to control time or mess with time or manipulate time through the whole thing, which is kind of cool. And the special effects get just more and more intense as you go through the movie. As you get towards the end, it just becomes, on your seat type of things. This is one of those movies that you want to watch more than once because there's always something new you got to see. So Doctor Strange learns how to do this, and then he figures out what the portholes are as he gets more ingratiated and trusted by the Ancient One and all of the followers that are there, the monks and everybody that's helping. Then he ends up finding out the people who stole. Oh, I forgot. At the beginning of the movie, it starts off with magical creatures or magical people going in and stealing a time potion or spell where they can manipulate time. But they forgot to get the stone. What did they call that? That's the same thing they called it in Guardians of the Galaxy, because the guy was trying to collect them all. Anyway, so they he ends up wearing this stone around his neck to control time, and ends up going to the New York sanctuary because there's sanctuaries are being under attack and taken down, and ends up defending it, ends up getting a cloaked artifact to help him. He gets shot, so he ends up making a porthole back to the hospital he worked in because of the girl that he was dating worked there, so she could save his life. He gets himself astral projected out of his body, and then they have another fight there. And she ends up having to electrocute him once and then twice, and then after that he comes back to his body after she fixes his wounds, and then he ends up going back to the sanctuary, New York sanctuary. And it turns out to be a pretty good, fun movie. And I'm rambling on quite a bit today. That's going to be fun. That'll be cool. Anyway, so towards the end of this thing, a creature from another dimension called Yamu gets involved and sends his soldiers down to destroy the Earth. And Doctor Strange sets a time loop and goes and visits Yamu and says, I'm here to make a deal hundreds of millions of times because he got a time loop going. He gets killed every time. Then after a while, he stops and talks and says, Yamu, you're my prisoner, I'm not your prisoner because you're in a time loop and all you can do is sit here and kill me. And the deal, after another 50 to 100 times, they come to an agreement. And then when he comes back, all his people get sucked off the planet into that dimension, and the rift gets closed. Everything gets put back the way it was. Everybody's happy. The Doctor Strange gets what he wants. The old one ends up dying somewhere throughout all this because she's old and she was sucking energy from that dimension as well, and to stay alive. She's hundreds of thousands of years old, so leaves Doctor Strange in charge of the Sanctuary Network. And, they're still arguing about the best way of doing things at the end of the movie, but it's still pretty good. I was hoping they'd make another Doctor Strange out of the comic books because they made 4 or 5, and this Doctor Strange was just for the first one. Oh, well, I'd like to see more, like they did with the Avengers, but, can't have everything. So anyway, that's the end of that one. There's a whole lot more I can say about Doctor Strange, but you should go see the movie for yourself. So our next one is going to be The Misfits that came out in 2001. It's got Pierce Brosnan, uh, an old 007 uh, guy in it. He played in 007. You got Jimmy Chan. There's a whole bunch of them. You'll see the names on my blog. So this is a band of thieves, daddy and the daughter, a strange daughter. The Pierce Brosnan, I can't even say it outright. Anyway, he gets put in jail. The group of misfits breaks him out of jail, ends up taking him to Dubai because they're trying to get him to get on board with stealing a bunch of gold from another bad guy to stop terrorism. So what ended up happening is they got Pierce Brosnan out of whatever trouble he was in, and then they got him on a private airplane, picked up, private on an airplane, a car chase through the little town or wherever he was at, then on an airplane, about the time the people caught up to him. And then they talk about it to him on the airplane about the thief, the stuff they want him to steal. He doesn't really know his daughter's involved until later on. Doesn't even know that she's in Dubai with him until he tries to lift a wallet at a casino or a high-end restaurant there. She bumps into him and puts the wallet back, and then trades it with a gift shop wallet, zipper, coin purse thing. So he ends up going back and trying to talk to her. The guy that he stole the wallet tries to claim her, his daughter, as the girlfriend. He goes as far as to say, "She's mine, go find your own," which was kind of funny. So he ends up revealing to not only everybody watching the movie, but the guy that she was his daughter, and he didn't know her and didn't know that guy and didn't like the way he did it. So he puts all the drinks on that guy's tab, and then he leaves a tip out of that guy's wallet because he ends up taking it back. And then she says she's got a meeting with a bunch of people in the morning, and outside of a fish tank, she didn't say where it was, but the meeting was at an aquarium with a bunch of fish in it. And they were looking at them from the fish tank, and they were looking in the fish tank as if we were one of them, which was kind of cool. I liked that idea. Not a whole lot of special effects, but it was fun. Dubai's got a lot of sand on the outside of it. So anyway, they were talking about stealing his gold from this prison, and Dad wants to after the meeting, or when he shows up to the meeting, the daughter's not anywhere to be seen just yet. She doesn't make an appearance for a few minutes or a little bit. But he's talking about 50-50 split, so he wants, to do it for money. They say they don't do things for money. They do it for stopping people like terrorists. Oh, yeah, look at that. We're going to run this batteries down, too. Second set of batteries today. Same show. Anyway, so he ends up going away trying to walk away because they said that he couldn't have half the gold. Because there is no gold. They're not going to have any gold when they get done because they're going to use it for something else. Anyway, so on the way out, coming through the restaurant or bar that they're in the aquarium, the daughter comes down a set of stairs as they catch up to him and start trying to convince him to change his mind and become part of the robbery team. And she speaks up, and they slowly tilt the camera up to her to reveal that she is the daughter they just introduced earlier in the film. It's kind of cool. And then they start bonding over fixing this, and then when they get to the place where the gold's being held, they do a lot of twists and turns in this movie, in that section there, because they're going in after the gold. They get all the prisoners, because it is in a prison, sick, so they have to start. They get ambulances in there, and when it was time to leave the gold out, they send. They drop a bar off of a gurney, so he's chasing ambulances and gurneys. Yeah, he's an ambulance chaser, which I thought was kind of funny, about what they got this guy chasing to get this gold, and to get the other sheik to do things, or he's trying to cash out money. So they got the gold, but the way they did it was kind of funny. There's a great big eagle in the kitchen, which is made of porcelain, and it was destroyed, but they made a mold of this great big eagle in a case they had brought in, like a styrofoam mold. So they used the prison equipment, the ovens and stuff, and melted the gold into liquid, poured it in this thing, and just kept doing it until they made it themselves a gold eagle. Then they painted it, put it in a crate so that, if anybody asked questions, to get it out of the building. So they thought it was, they got the prison guy chasing a truck, a red fire truck, because they were told him to stack a lot of heavy boxes in it. So he chased the fire truck personally. They stopped the ambulances. There was nothing in there except for patients. They chased the fire truck across the desert, pickup truck. Then the guy found out nothing, and there was a cargo plane and a bunch of soldiers there, because one of the guys says he was the real prince, and they still weren't convinced. But they did. Then towards the end of the movie, they showed how they made the eagle and painted it and got it out of the building. And then towards the end of the scene, they opened the van that they transported it in, and the original eagle is sitting in the van. The porcelain eagle is sitting in the van. So the daughter gets upset and breaks it, thinking that Daddy stole the eagle again, which is another twist they put in there. And then, yeah, they did a pretty good job with that one. And then a little while later, Daddy opens the door to the airplane vault, which is just right there to the right side of the screen. And he opens it just wide enough so they can see him, and they were surprised because he didn't run. And oh, we're getting low battery again. Well, it's in here. Anyway, we're recording. So those three movies were actually pretty good, and I don't know why I picked them all this way. I just kind of randomly picked them. So the GoFundMe page, you'll find that on my website, and if I feel up to it, I'll get a link in the bottom. But the whole reason for that is because I need to have a place that's big enough to do things. And last time I told Mom that I was miserable here trying to help her with her house and make sure everything's okay, because she wants my sister's kid here, and she's a pig and inconsiderate and an asshole towards me no matter what I do. So I just kind of treat her the way she treats me. Anyway, so I am going to move one way or the other. It's just, I'm trying to stay closer. If the GoFundMe pages don't get met, then I'm going to have to move away, and then Mom and my niece will have to survive on their own, fixing the cooler and the house and the mobile home and dealing with all the problems that come with home ownership. And her house won't be paid for before I end up getting fed up and moving. So I'm hoping that the GoFundMe page will work. I just don't know if it will or not. Kind of disgusting that things that are going on here are really happening. Anyway, so I just barely kind of got over the cold thing that I've been working on. So um, hopefully nobody else catches something that nasty because that is just bad. All I want to do is sleep and cough and sleep, and I didn't really want to do anything. So now the goal is with these movies reviews and movies because I got the the Synology Drive back together and working and all my movies on there. Every time I watch three, I'm going to do a big old long movie review like the one I just finished, despite having problems keeping it charged and batteries in it. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to get power to my recorder or figure out how a way to supplement it because it's just sucking batteries now that I'm got that filter on there to make things sound better. So everybody stay safe, take care, and we'll see you with the next movie review. And that'll be it. The end.